Spoilercast, the show where we talk about movies and we don't care about spoiling them because, yeah, duh, it's the Spoilercast. And with me, as always, above me in this stream, is my sister and trusty co-host Rebecca.
Hello.
Hello. Right, so it's October, and we're continuing with the sort of horror theme, I suppose, from last week. What did we watch last week?
Hubie Halloween.
Oh, right, alright, yes, sort of horror, right.
Halloween theme, not horror. Halloween.
Halloween theme, you're right.
Because, yeah.
Yeah, because it's October. Oh, I just moved the picture.
October.
Yeah. And, yeah, this week we're doing another new, well, sort of new. It came out a couple of weeks ago.
Early October, I think.
Yeah, new Netflix horror-ish movie. Or spooky movie, I suppose. It's Vampires vs. the Bronx.
It's listed as comedy horror, but I'm not sure I would count it as horror.
Yeah, so let's talk. Let me turn on the music completely, and let's actually talk about the movie then. Because I was kind of pumped for this. I definitely got some Attack the Block vibes. You've seen Attack the Block, right?
Oh yes, yes.
That's a great movie. That's one of my favorite like sci-fi movies of all time. And it's basically the same concept, but the Bronx instead of a random block in England or London, I suppose.
London suburbs somewhere.
Yeah, London suburbs. And it also had, because there were vampires, there was a little bit of Lost Boys in there, but more urban instead of the coast, I suppose. So I was interested in this. I like horror comedies. I like movies like Attack the Block or The Lost Boys or Shaun of the Dead. I guess Gremlins is a horror comedy. Movies like that. I like those. So I was interested in watching this, and I gotta say I didn't like it. Not a lot.
I did.
Okay.
Because I got a lot of Attack the Block vibes. I got the same kind of childish excitement, I guess, from it. Plus, my favorite monster of all times are vampires, especially when done right, which they were. They were done right.
Yeah, but they were kind of, I don't know.
They were kind of boring, but they were
kind of boring. Well, first of all, I guess it's a little bit because I had expectations that weren't met, and I guess that's on me because nowadays you can't have expectations because then people say, oh, you were expecting something, the movie doesn't have to cater to you. That's literally critique I've gotten on my criticisms, like, oh, I thought the movie was going to be this. Yeah, well, the movie isn't that, so I'm just sorry, got a little salty. Anyway, first of all, I expected more gore. It's a vampire movie. Even if it's with kids, it's teenagers. You can at least have a little bit of blood. There's no blood in the movie. Except for a little bit that's smeared on like a wall, and you see on her claws when she kills Shea Wiggum, the familiar.
Yeah.
There's no blood in it. And it's a movie about people who feed on blood. Where was the gore? It's a vampire movie. Come on.
But because of the kids and the like we've said like 10 times already, Attack the Block vibes, I didn't.
Well, Attack the Block is very bloody.
But it's green or blue or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean when they kill humans, there's blood there as well.
I don't remember any blood, but maybe because I'm not sensitive to blood, so I don't probably. Yeah. I never really.
Yeah, it's not like fountains of blood, but it's violent at least. This wasn't violent at all. It was very tame like that.
Vampires are supposed to do everything they do in secret. It's not supposed to be a bloodbath and all that. Yeah. It's supposed to be very subtle and secret, and they clean up after themselves to keep their secret.
Okay. Yeah, I know. That's why I hate. I know you don't role play, like tabletop role play. But there's a vampire role play called Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah. Because there's a bunch of video games based on it. That's the same thing. I hate that role-playing game. I played it once, like, seriously, and it's so boring. sorry for going off on a tangent. I was gonna say, because you are a vampire, and even if you're like a low-level vampire, you have the strength and guile and intellect 10 times of a normal human, but you're never allowed to use it because then people might figure out you're a vampire. So I remember playing that game. I was like, why am I playing this?
You're supposed to use your intelligence and stuff, but
Yeah, but
secretly, and
yeah,
like maybe just to tease the humans.
Yeah, you gotta uphold the masquerade, as it's called.
I guess.
Anyway, sorry. Yeah, but even movies. Should we go through a little bit what it's about before we just start rambling like we always do?
Maybe that should.
We should try to find a little bit of structure. So it is a story about 3 kids. I don't even remember their names.
Miguel, Bobby, and Luis, or Miguel is also called Little Mayor.
Little Mayor, yeah, that's right. That's the only one I remember because everyone said Little Mayor in the beginning.
Or Little Mayor if they're white.
Yeah. Anyway, who all live in the Bronx, and lately the Bronx, as they have in real life, I looked it up, have been, I guess, suffering if you live there, suffering from a bit of gentrification, where new more expensive stores and high apartments are moving in and kind of pushing out the people who live there already. But this isn't just your regular gentrification by some corporation. It's by vampires who are literally sucking the life force out of the neighborhood. Yeah. And that was
they're disguised as a realtor company or something.
Yeah,
real estate company,
I think, because they buy both storefronts and like apartment buildings. So I guess
No, they bought the townhouse.
Yeah, they're trying to buy everything really.
I guess.
Yeah. First of all, I'm very split on gentrification, like in real life. Because I see the benefits of it, but I don't like the way they usually go by it. They basically just push out the people who already live there, but
instead of like improving what they already have.
Yeah, they make the neighborhood nicer by just removing what's already there. So I see the problem with gentrification, but I thought it was very on the nose, because the social commentary here is gentrification is bad, basically.
Yeah.
And it was very on the nose. And the first thing I noticed, and I guess that's because I'm white, is that all the bad guys, all the vampires are white people. There are no white people living in the Bronx, which, I mean, yeah, that's not entirely true. It was so. The whole that part of it, the social commentary, was just so
a bit too
nose.
much in your face. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it's trying to it's trying to push the message.
Yeah, make a point.
But you can always.
But it was a little ham-fisted.
Yeah.
I
was surprised. I always thought the Bronx was predominantly like African American.
No, it's
all of them were Spanish speaking.
Yeah, it's Latino.
Oh, okay.
African Latino.
I never knew that, to be honest. But
yeah.
That's just because I've never read up about the Bronx.
Yeah, I've never been to the Bronx. I've been to Manhattan, and I've been to New Jersey. Were we in New Jersey?
No, we just took a ferry around. We never actually.
No, we were in Staten Island.
Yeah, Staten Island.
Staten Island, right? Oh yeah, and the Bronx is technically not an island. The Bronx is technically not an island. It's on the what's it called? The mainland.
Oh yeah, that's
true. We were never on. We were
never on the mainland. No.
We landed in New Jersey when we were in America, or in New York. We landed in New Jersey. We lived mostly in Manhattan and a little bit out on Long Island.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, never into the Bronx. We were in Brooklyn, right? Because that's further down on the Manhattan Island, right?
Manhattan Island, yeah, I think
so. Anyway, that's not the point. I just
Swedish people trying to find their way in America, trying to figure out where the hell things are happening.
Yeah, just trying to get the lay of the land. I mean, I've only been there once, and it was 13 years ago. Well, we both were there 13 years ago, 2007.
Yeah, is that 13 years ago? Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it's a
Well, I was
long
there
time ago.
a couple of years ago as well, but
Oh
that
yeah,
was like
right.
only main Manhattan in the winter, so
Yeah.
we
Anyway,
didn't much.
so that's what the story is. That it's basically a story about the neighborhood coming together to stop gentrification. But here it's in the disguise of a vampire movie, and I get it. And the message is ham-fisted. It's a little on the nose, but I get it.
Yeah,
And maybe since this is, I guess, a kids movie, it has to be a little on the nose.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's probably why there wasn't that much gore.
probably.
Yeah, but and then once again, it was my expectations because it's a horror comedy. Um, it should have at least been like a PG-13. Because movies like this are like gateways to kids becoming fans of horror movies. You have movies like back in the day, you had movies like Ghostbusters and Gremlins. Um, and in the 90s, I don't really know what you had in the 90s, but in the 2000s, you had movies like Shaun of the Dead, who were like, you watched it because it's not really a horror movie, it's a horror comedy, and it's a little tamer. Maybe not Shaun of the Dead, but
A horror element without being gory or actually too scary.
yeah, and that kind of gets you interested in horror movies. And this is really one of those gateway horror movies for the 2010s.
Yeah.
But it was so lame. um, because of all the things that I mentioned. Listen, I thought, and then I didn't really get the comedy. There was no comedy either. I didn't laugh once.
No.
I laughed once, but that was at a bad special effect, which I looked up. Most people point that out. Can you guess which one? Was there one specific scene that made you just go, "Whoa, that's a bad effect"? Maybe you didn't notice
No,
it.
not
Oh,
really.
okay.
I probably didn't notice it.
It's towards the end after they've killed the first two vampires in the nest.
When they're hanging upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they killed three of them. I'm not sure.
No, they killed two there, I think.
Yeah. But then you have the main one, the lady, Victoria,
Vivian.
Vivian, and the blonde guy, who's really the only two we've ever seen properly. And they're chasing the kids, and they split up, and you see Vivian chasing Lil Mayer and the guy who's in the gang, sort of.
Bobby.
Bobby. And she's flying behind them, and it looks like, and this makes sense if you're thinking, it looks like an SNL sketch, because she's like, roar, 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 on wires, and it looks terrible. I just burst out laughing because it looked so bad. And there's a lot of
Yeah, no, I didn't notice that.
there's a lot of bad special effects, like them when they die. It kind of looks like when they die in Blade,
Yeah.
but Blade is 22 years old. The special effects
the
should
effects
look better.
should be better, yeah.
Yeah, come on. Oh, what the stuff. And just the makeup was such generic vampire makeup. The whole like protruding brows and the whole monster look kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
It should
And
have just been
that was kind of the thing. They wanted to probably have a bit of a throwback to the old vampire movies and series, because the new ones are kind of lame.
I don't know. I don't watch vampire stuff much anymore.
No, there's not much vampire stuff being made. I mean, the latest like big vampire thing, that's Twilight.
Yeah.
And Twilight is not vampires. It doesn't
No.
count.
No, but at least in Twilight, they at least don't look like monsters. They look like people, but with fangs. That's the kind of vampire that I like. I like.
They don't even have fangs, I think.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I only
Well,
saw
maybe
the
they do,
first
but
one. I don't know.
yeah. Either way,
But like in Interview with the Vampire, they don't have like a monster face. They have fangs, but that's it. And that's kind of the classic look, the classic Dracula look. Even
and
though
a bit of like some like bluer tones with underneath the eyes or something.
oh sure, the
Because
skin
they do
tone.
the thing in like Vampire Diaries. They add like some sort of veining going down from
Oh,
their
sure.
eyes when they get the
Yeah, you can do that,
vampire
but you don't have
mode.
to. You don't have to add the monster eyebrows and like accentuate the cheekbones when they become
No, I
vampires.
get.
I think that looks lame because it looks like a TV show. Then it looks like Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Yeah.
or Hercules: The Legendary Journeys. It looks bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those special effects or visual effects added to that, it looked cheap, and it probably was cheap. Um, because the whole movie feels very. There's not a lot going on in it. There's not that many like set pieces. I mean, not that there
No.
has to be, but I mean, even towards the end, the big final showdown is like 15 people versus one vampire, and
In the streets.
yeah, in the streets, and you don't even had to have a big showdown like that because could have just been the kids, but they wanted
Yeah.
to have like a big cool final scene, but because they didn't have the money, it just looked kind of, eh. It was lame. That
Yeah.
final
I
confrontation
mean,
was lame.
this could have been better if they had probably more funding.
Yeah, but that's the weird thing though. Let's get to that, because this is this is first of all it is produced, I think, by Netflix because it is a Netflix movie. Or maybe they're just distributing it because it was a Universal logo in the beginning, so I'm not sure.
It
But
does say a Netflix film on the poster.
yeah, I mean, so I don't know. And then if you look in the credits, Lorne Michaels is credited as producer, not executive producer or anything. He's credited as producer, and Lorne Michaels is the guy who created Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
And
that's right.
I think that's why there are a couple of like recognizable faces, like oh, I forget her name again. What's the girl from Avatar and Guardians of the Galaxy in the beginning? The nail
Zoe
salon.
Saldana.
Yeah, Zoe Saldana has a very small,
Very small
small
role.
cameo. You have Shea Wiggum turn up, who I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, Method Man plays the priest for like 2 minutes. And people talking about the guy who plays Tony, the bodega owner. He's supposed to be someone I didn't recognize him though. What's his name?
The Kid Mero is
Yeah,
he?
Joe
Is his
Martinez, the Kid
credit.
Mero. He's supposed to be someone. Oh, he's part of Day Susan Mero. They have like a
Yeah.
podcast. I don't really watch it, but I know about them. They talk about music and stuff. Okay, so so they had, and that's probably clout from Lorne Michaels, and I think that the writer and director have been involved with Saturday Night Live. I think. Yeah, he's been involved in Saturday Night Live, and he's directed some episodes of it, or a lot of it. Well, some episodes. And done a lot of TV shows. This is his first real movie, I think. Yeah, and it shows, I think.
Yeah.
But also because then, if they have that clout, why didn't have just a little bit more money to work with? They had Netflix. They had Lorne Michaels. You could have just chucked them a couple millions more for set dressing. I don't know. That could have
And
helped.
maybe we could have had more comedy in it as well, to be honest, if it's a bunch of Saturday Night Live
Yeah,
people
that's also.
involved.
I expected more comedy. I didn't laugh once.
No, I only laughed like not because they were funny, but because of like the sensation I got from like how things happened, basically. Just that wow, it's coming together kind of thing. That's
Oh,
the kind of
okay.
laugh,
I,
not the humor.
yeah, I didn't even get that. But maybe once again because this is it's a kids movie, and
It is
yeah,
different,
and
yeah.
I'm 30, so maybe I didn't get it. I don't know. I
You
just
lost your childhood.
yeah, and I've talked about this. I mentioned this for the first time last year when I talked about Booksmart, that I could recognize that as a good movie, but I just didn't like it because
because you can't connect with the
these
kids
stupid
anymore.
teenagers was everything I could think about. I was so annoying. So yeah, I couldn't really appreciate it. And then, but then there were like specific things with the script that didn't make sense in my mind. Maybe they're nitpicky. Some of them at least. I know one is nitpicky, but I'm gonna mention it anyway. But other things just felt like the script needed to be worked on a little bit more. Like the girl who joins in like the last half hour, whatever her name is.
Rita.
It's Rita, right? Coco Jones is the actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She just happens to know stuff about vampires because she's Creole. Did she say she was Creole, right?
Said hoodoo or something.
Yeah, but that's part of.
Yeah, but I think I didn't know if she mentioned where she was from. I think she just mentioned like my grandma's been teaching me hoodoo stuff since I was a kid.
I've known about this stuff since I was a kid, and there's one hint at that earlier when she says, "Yeah, vampires don't have a soul, so they don't get caught on
They don't have reflections.
Reflections, or they get caught on photographs and stuff like that." But that's just like, oh, now she knows that. All right.
Yeah, but that to me is like that. Anyone who's read a vampire book or a vampire comic knows that. So
yeah, but nobody else knew that. So
no, which was weird to me.
Yeah,
to be honest.
So I didn't know if this was like a world where vampire movies existed. Was this like a
well, it is because they watched Blade.
Oh right, they watched Blade. Yeah, sure.
And the Luis Acosta, the low blood sugar kid, he reads Salem's Lot.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
A bunch of vampire comics.
Yeah,
graphic novels.
And that's also weird. Yeah, little things like that made me like, because we see him early on. He reads Salem's Lot, but that's a book. It's a novel.
Oh.
But then they make fun of him for reading about vampires, reading vampire comic books, and he says it's a visual graphic novel.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been. We never see him read a comic book. Why didn't just make a joke that, oh, you read those stupid like horror books, or make him read a graphic novel in the beginning?
Yeah.
Because we see him read one thing, but then you talk about him reading another thing. It's nitpicky, but that's a kind of connection
it's a weird detail to not use.
Yeah, exactly. Why make him read a book if you're going to complain about him reading comic books later? Just make him read a comic book.
Because not everyone's going to know that Salem's Lot is a vampire book by Stephen King. Yeah.
And that's also a thing. If he's obviously way into this stuff. I mean, they try to make him look like a I guess a weirdo because he has like a ghost shirt on. In the end, he has a Slayer shirt on, so he's obviously into alternative stuff. He never caught up on the fact that the real estate company is called Murnau, which is
or had
Vlad Tepes as a logo. Yeah, because Murnau is the director of the original Nosferatu.
Oh, that's right.
Friedrich Wilhelm Murnau. And I was just like, he's not gonna notice that? He likes vampires, but doesn't know about Nosferatu?
Yeah,
I get that movie's...
Like the drawing of from Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, and then I thought, like, no, these are kids, they're born in the 2000s, they're not gonna know a 100-year-old movie. But I mean,
But he's reading a classic, he's reading an old Stephen King vampire book.
Yeah, and I'm 15 years older than them, but I still know about that movie. Yeah. So if you're into that kind of stuff, wouldn't you know that? Then the kind of references got kind of weird, and it kind of clashed with what they should know about vampires.
Yeah. I agree. I felt it was a bit odd that only one person had any knowledge of vampires in popular media.
Yeah.
And everyone else was like, right, crucifixes.
Yeah, it's like...
Oh, everyone has heard about Twilight and Vampire Diaries because it's set in 2020, right?
Yeah.
Or it's supposed to be older or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I heard some people talk about that they got a 90s vibe off the movie.
But she's live streaming.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. It does take place at least in the I guess it's 2019, 2020, I don't know. But it's now. But the kind of 90s vibe you get is because it's in an older neighborhood. I don't want to sit here and be racially insensitive, but That's why
No,
you
but
get
it's the
that's why you get a
building
'90s
that's
vibe
not.
because time hasn't really moved since the '80s in places like the Bronx. It's just how
No.
it is. That's why
And I mean,
gentrification is a
I guess,
thing in neighborhoods like that.
yeah. And I guess you can kind of credit some of the not knowing to the parents all being very Christian. Maybe they're not allowed to watch those kinds of things or read
Yeah,
about those kinds of things. Because I mean, Louis gets his tia calls him
he's
possessed.
possessed by the
Like,
devil.
yeah, a
Yeah.
few times. So
Um,
maybe that's something, but still, you should know a little bit. Like everyone knows that vampires are allergic to garlic
yeah, and that's kind
and
of
holy water. Like that's common sense by now.
and that's something you can play on because this is a horror comedy, obviously taking place in a world where vampire books and vampire movies exist. You can play on that like we know how to deal with this. Let's fucking kill them.
Yeah.
We've seen the movies, we've played the video games, we've read the books. We know how to deal with this, but no, they don't. Even
No,
though
they had to be introduced to all of it via Blade.
via Blade.
Mid movie, they had to watch Blade to understand what they were facing.
Yeah, and then they watch the end where he fights a vampire god. That's much harder to
Yeah.
kill than regular vampires. That's also
Yeah.
nitpick. Nitpick. It's a nitpick.
I mean, they watched the entire movie though. Probably.
Yeah, but we see them watch the ending. Anyway, so yeah, lots of little details like that that annoyed me as a movie fan, I suppose. But then also, none of the characters are really well fleshed out.
No, you don't have.
You don't
You
get to
have
know.
the basics of some of them. You have like uh generic characters,
Yeah,
kind of
but like yeah,
stereotypical. That's the word I'm looking for.
yeah,
Stereotypical, because you have the
yeah,
drug dealer, you have
a
the
lot of
cool kid,
stereotypes.
the nerd, the good guy.
Yeah, the straight guy, the straight man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
the
also
love
that.
interest that was kind of weak.
Yeah, once again, she was in 2 scenes before she joined the gang and was part of the gang.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, who are you? What's your name? Do they
Um,
even call her Rita in the movie?
Yes, the first time I think.
Yeah, okay, they do. Yeah.
Because he's like, "Oh, hi, Rita," and that's about
Right,
it.
when
That's
she's with her friends, right.
yeah, or one of the friends says, "Rita, let's go," something like that. But they
Yeah.
do mention Rita once, just
Alright.
because
Just
have to say it.
yeah.
just to give her a name.
But that's also there's a lot of like stereotypes in the movie, and negative stereotypes, which
Yeah,
I know some people mentioned that, and I even saw some people of color mention that there are negative stereotypes in the movie.
yeah.
Like of course there's a gang element, but yeah, that's because that's what it
It's
is in
Bronx.
reality. It's what it is in the reality. But if they want to like move away from stereotypes and make their own kind of stuff, maybe try to do something different. But here everyone is very stereotypical. Like we don't see there are no fathers in this movie.
No.
Which,
The
oh,
only
they
father
mentioned
figures you
one,
have
but
is,
he's dead.
It's the pastor or
The preacher.
father preacher, and you have Tony.
Yeah.
And I guess the gang leader kind of is
Yeah, but
somewhat
he's
bad
a
father
negative
figure-ish.
influence.
Yeah.
So, how about show that stereotype of absent fathers in those kind of neighborhoods is just a stereotype, and let's put something else in, but they didn't. And there's the gang element, and and then it becomes kind of clashing because movies usually get like negative criticism for being stereotypical, especially towards people of color. But here we have a person of color who's made a movie about like his. I think he's even from the Bronx originally. What little I've read about him, Oz.
You mean Rodriguez?
Osmani Rodriguez. Yeah, I think so. I might have gotten that mixed up. So maybe wouldn't he want to dispel some stereotypes? But then maybe if he wants to make it real, that's why he includes the stereotypes. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe he wants to show what it actually is at the same time.
Yeah.
But you can do it without.
And then me as a movie critic in this very progressive world, I don't really know what I'm supposed to say.
what are we allowed to say
Sort
almost?
of, yeah. I don't know. So,
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit too stereotypical.
and
I
they
don't mind like the all black cast, no
no,
problem. That's
no, that
fine.
that makes
That
sense.
makes
Yeah, if
sense.
you want
Yeah,
to be realistic, yeah,
but maybe have
less
one
stereotypes.
that's not a drug dealer.
Well, the
That could be because I
Tony
mean you
isn't a
have a
drug dealer.
bunch. No, that's true.
Father
That's true.
Jackson isn't a drug dealer. No one's a drug dealer except for
Well, what's his
Henny,
face?
Rennie, Henny,
Something.
Jeremy Harris. Um,
Handy. Yeah, but I mean you have a bunch of like 20 somethings sitting around just being kind of also again very stereotypical, looking like the kind of dudes that would hang out with Henny maybe, or at least
yeah,
stay out of the way of Henny because they know he's a bad guy. There's no Lil Mayer, but 20.
no,
There's no like plain good guy, but
no,
in his
yeah.
20s.
Those were the only people that kind of broke the stereotype.
Yeah,
Lil Mayer and
Lewis.
Lewis, right? Lewis. Should have been
Because
more.
Bobby was unfortunately falling into the stereotype
Yeah,
again, the young black kid who gets kind of persuaded into
gang
the
stuff. Yeah,
gang stuff because someone says, "Well, don't you want to be like make your father proud or help your mother provide for the family," kind of thing.
yeah. So yeah,
Which
they could have had more. They could have had the stereotypical characters in there, of course, because stereotypes they do.
exists.
Yeah, they
There's
exist.
a
They come
reason
from
there.
somewhere, but
Yeah,
they could have could have had more different characters then, more Little Mayors, more Lewises.
yeah.
But no,
And at the same time, I think that some elements could have been just taken out. But considering that this movie is very short,
it's very short. It's under 90 minutes.
yeah,
Um,
with some
with with credits,
with credits,
it's very short. Yeah,
yeah,
and that
which is refreshing. But
in a way, but the problem is that not a
this
lot
one,
happens.
yeah, this movie could have used one more plot thing and maybe 15 minutes more of runtime.
But I don't even think they had that because the movie basically consists of them first getting savvy to the fact that there are vampires here.
Yeah,
But we don't know yet, and nobody believes us when we just say that we have a hunch. But then they find out that there are vampires. They are actually vampires. So now we have to get proof. So because nobody believes them otherwise. So then they get proof. But, it doesn't get caught on camera, so nobody believes them. It's the same over and over again
yeah.
until the last 20 minutes when they fight the vampires. And then all of a sudden, everyone believes that there are vampires there, so they're armed with sticks and crucifixes and fight the
Brooms.
last vampire.
And a shoe.
Yeah, and a shoe.
Also a bit of a stereotype.
That's the thing. Why do you throw shoes all the time? I don't understand the thing with throwing shoes. It's a thing
Well, yeah, I don't
in
know.
certain cultures.
Cultures.
Sorry. Why
At least that's hard.
why'd you want to throw a shoe? Don't you want to
I
keep it
don't
on your
know.
foot?
all I can think of is like when I grew up, some of the kids with the Arabic parents would like say that they would get tofflade.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That was
yeah,
the
hit
thing.
with a slipper. But
slipper,
I
yeah.
never really understood it, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Why?
Maybe it's because we've never experienced it. Whatever, it's another culture.
Anyway. Anyway. So yeah, I don't think if you made the movie little like 10 minutes longer, it would just be another. Oh, we confronted the vampires, but nobody believed us.
Fleshed up characters more or something, because the characters are kind of plain.
Yeah. Even the main characters, we don't really get to know them that much.
No, we know a few things about Lewis, that he's a bit of a nerd.
He's a nerd and he
He's a
has
stereotypical
low
nerd.
blood sugar.
Yeah, instead of asthma, which is
Yeah.
the normal one. But he has the glasses and he has low blood sugar.
And
instead.
he's a, you know what? He is another stereotype. He's a stereotypical
Yes.
nerd.
Yes. That's what it's...
And then let's take our main character. Describe Lil Mayer without like his physical description. He's
the goody two shoes without being too goody two shoes, I guess.
yeah. and
He's the boring dude, the run of the mill not plain Jane, but yeah.
yeah, and that's our main protagonist. He's kind of boring. He's
Which is a bit.
idealistic, which is
It's a bit of a
it's a good
stereotype though
thing.
for the main person to be like the normal person, so you can relate to them more
Yeah, but then you have to have
in movies at least.
a cast of fun characters surrounding him, and Lewis
Yes.
is, I guess, the closest to being a little bit funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, he wasn't funny, but I see what they were going for, like haha, the nerd.
Yeah, and they kind of had like slapstick humor sometimes with him.
Yeah, and then you have Bobby, who is just describe him. He is.
He's the kid who actually like falls off the track, and
Yeah, but what is his personality?
he doesn't have a
He doesn't
personality.
have a personality.
He's
he gets
wannabe thug, I guess, but
yeah,
he's
he
not.
gets angry when you mention his dad. That's his personality.
Yeah.
And that's our three main characters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They could have added more to them. Maybe add a few more minutes just fleshing them out, showing more of their everyday life, because you barely see one full like everyday
Yeah.
at all until stuff happens. Like stuff happens immediately.
And you never see, and I never really got, well, they say it's the end of summer, so I guess that's why they're not going to school.
Yeah.
But it's the end of summer, but they're just now finding out that Bobby got kicked out of school, right? No, someone got kicked out of
No,
school.
no, Louis doesn't know because they don't want to tell him because he gets anxious.
Right, and Lewis has been in, they mentioned he was in Florida during the summer.
Yeah,
Right.
he was away at least, and they didn't want to tell him when he was
Okay,
away.
okay,
Because
fair
he was
enough. But then you never see, this is, I don't know, it was just a thing I noticed. You never see anyone work. Nobody works, except for Tony, who works in the bodega. Nobody works. The
Well,
parents
the mom
are just
mentioned
around.
like I'm going to work. I got the late shift,
But they're always around.
more or less.
Yeah.
They
So,
they're somehow magically back when the kids get back. We
yeah,
have no concept of how long the
it's
things take.
no, yeah, and for a movie that when when night falls, things get more dangerous. There should be a more time should be more of a presence in the movie.
Mhm.
But
Actually, thought
yeah,
that was weird one time. I think it's the first or second time they go into the town. No, what's it called?
the
Thing out.
yeah, not the town hall, but
Yeah, town hall.
yeah, town hall, right.
Yeah, because they go in when it's light out,
Yeah, and they
and then
mention that we only have half an hour until sundown, and that's
but they're
also
not in there for half an hour.
no, they're
They're
not
in
in
there
the
for what, like 5 minutes.
yeah, but it's pitch black when they come out,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
the
also a thing.
vampires can hunt them. I'm like, what?
That's also a thing. They say it's the end of summer. The glow girl says that in the beginning. It's the end
Yeah,
of summer. But even let's say it's late August, the sun is still up at like 8. But then,
even.
yeah, because we're and they're even more. Uh, um, New York is even more south than Sweden is, and we have sun at 8 now. When it's mid October, the sun starts setting around like 5, 6.
Yeah,
But there,
but in August it should be bright until like 8, 9, almost 10 o'clock.
yeah, but they're out when it's pitch darkness, and
They
I'm like,
must be out at midnight.
why are you out in the middle of the night? There's vampires around.
Yeah, especially when they know that. I mean, they mention it like one time, like, "Oh, we'll just camp out here. They can't get in."
Yeah,
But yeah,
just
that's the only time. I mean, they know it the rest of the time. Why don't they just like go inside? Because they also figure out rather quickly that vampires can't enter unless you say welcome.
yeah. So do your stuff in the daytime.
Yeah,
That's what they do in vampire hunter movies. In Blade,
they take them when they're in the coffin,
yeah,
when they're sleeping.
yeah, or in the Lost Boys, or in John Carpenter's Vampires, they attack the nests at during daylight.
And they don't go looking for them half an hour before sundown.
Yes,
That's
why did you go there
stupid.
when it was half an hour left? Go there 2 hours earlier. Since
Because you have time, it's summer.
yeah, exactly, it's summer, so you're not going to school. You don't have anything else to do, other
And
than
unless it's really late, your parents are not going to care where you are at the moment. Because
yeah.
it's summer. You can run around. Obviously, you can run around. Tell them you're at Tony's.
The only time they're forced to be out during, like, darkness is during Thursday Mass, because it takes place
Yeah.
in the evening.
Yeah.
But even then, evening, it should still be
Yeah, how late
sundown.
do they go to Thursday Mass? That's
Is it midnight Mass? Do they do that? I don't
I
know.
don't know enough about religion.
I
for
don't
that.
either. I don't either. I don't know.
I did, however, think that the reverend or pastor, whatever the
Yes, Method Man.
he was,
He was gonna be a
I
vampire
thought he
hunter.
was gonna be like a Blade character,
Yes!
like a vampire hunter.
Why
He
didn't
would like
they?
come out there with the crucifix and like draw a sword or something. No,
Why didn't
no.
they do that? They had Method Man, one of the coolest guys ever.
And I mean, the way he
did it-
acted, the way he kind of like his, the
Yeah,
way
he had his eye on them.
moved, and he
You
was
felt like
big and
there's
brawly.
more to him than meets the
But
eye.
no.
No, he was
I
nothing.
mean, he did hit the vampire in the head with the crucifix, but like,
Yeah, okay, that doesn't
that's all
count.
he did. No.
There's so many missed opportunities there. Why wasn't he a vampire hunter? Like, that would have been great.
Well, Spelman did that.
Then
yeah.
he could have taught all of the characters about vampires, and we would have got the exposition we need. And I guess that's formulaic, but this movie didn't really break any formulas anyway. So
Oh.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
But I did find this movie very entertaining.
Okay, I didn't at all. There was
Maybe
nothing.
because I'm
I mean,
younger and I'm closer to being a kid than you.
I guess.
No.
I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was just bland and boring, unfortunately.
I mean, there, like we've mentioned now, there could have been more, but it was still entertaining. But it was kind of like a okay kind of movie.
It was but that's the thing. Also, it's gotten great reviews, and once again, I'm wondering if that's a little, because you can't badmouth a movie like this because hey, I don't want to say it, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because it's got a 76 out of 100 on Metascore. There aren't that many reviews. There's only 5, but the best one it got was from IGN, so you can't really trust that because IGN, they're bad. But anyway, it got an 80 out of 100. Empire gave it an 80, called it a witty and likable horror comedy that manages to put a stake to the heart of some real issues while it trickles your ribs. I didn't laugh, and the real issues were ham-fisted. And then I just wanna juxtapose this to a movie like let's take the should we do The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises?
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight, one of the most celebrated movies of the 2000s. One of few movies like you call a modern classic, I would say.
Yeah, because it's still on top like 10 on IMDb, right?
Yeah. So, Vampires vs. the Bronx has 76 out of 100 on Metascore. The Dark Knight has 84. 8 points more. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, 76, I don't know. And like, let's look at, that's why I thought about The Dark Knight Rises first, but The Dark Knight Rises has 78. And Vampires vs. the Bronx ain't no Dark Knight Rises.
No, definitely not.
And
No
so they're
way.
they're very different movies, but
yeah, it's a different movie, but still, the quality isn't even.
The quality isn't a 76. The quality is like a 60, 50.
But is that
maybe.
because there's few reviews? There hasn't been of the people who might actually give it negative reviews.
Yeah, but they only have positive reviews so far. The worst they got was 63, and from Movie Nation, they said nobody should be making serious vampire or zombie movies at this stage of the horror cycle, which is why not?
What?
It's kind of weird. I see what he's saying, but you can still make serious horror movies like that.
Is that coming back though? Isn't this the vampire zombie monster movie coming back now?
I don't know.
I thought it was time for that.
But anyway, nobody should be making serious vampire zombie movies at this stage of the horror cycle. So this riff on the genre absolutely fills the bill, and making it a commentary on gentrification, inspired. No, making it a blunt and stupid commentary on gentrification. That's not inspired, I think. It's admirable, but it's poorly done, I think.
Yes, it's got a good thought.
It's a
It's
good
got a
thought,
good
but
base.
it's poorly done.
Yeah, it needs a bit more detail and a bit more funding, probably.
Yeah,
Detail. Just stick with it. It needs more detail.
yeah,
It needs a bit more flushing out. You need to know why you care about the Bronx, basically, because you don't really get that feeling. A lot of the people are like, yeah, it's fine. Let's just sell our stuff and move.
yeah,
You have one person feeling like, oh, we need to save the Bronx. I mean, even his friends are like, okay, we'll just do what you do. We don't really care.
yeah.
You
um,
don't give us enough reason to have the emotional connection to the Bronx, to the kid wanting to save it.
and that's where I get the feeling that uh, Osmani Rodriguez, he's making this movie for people who live in that kind of situation,
Yeah,
and they would get it. They would get it like that. But
sure.
a movie,
It needs to be able to speak to more people than one specific
yeah. But there then
box.
comes a problem, because a lot of people of color would say that a lot of movies that speaks to us don't speak to them. So
True, I guess.
maybe this literally isn't a movie for me. But I don't know. I'm almost hoping that like movies like this or movies in general should be able to look past those kind of boundaries. And that's not and I know that movies that don't speak to people of color do speak to some people of color. Like today, when I looked up what other people thought of this movie, I saw some reviewers that I hadn't seen before, because there's not a lot of buzz around this on YouTube. It's not like a popular movie. The only one I saw that I recognized was Chris Stuckman. He gave it a good review, but it was it was a bad
Or
review. It was poor reviewing. Anyway,
yeah.
worse than he usually does. Anyway, but then I saw a guy with a very blunt channel name. He was called what was it? Was the black what was it? The Black Gay Comic Geek. It's like, oh, okay, now I know everything I
Very
need to know about
specific.
you. Very
Yeah.
specific. But like you saw his intro and all the stuff in his background and all that. He was a big fan of like Marvel movies. So obviously those movies speak to him. And he also enjoyed this movie. So
Yeah, I mean, say
do you see what I'm trying to get at?
yes, yes. I mean, maybe this is. I
That
feel like
that
everything I'm gonna say though is gonna sound insensitive
Yeah,
somehow.
I
But
know.
there
That's
are movies about these kinds of issues that do not really speak to us normally. Like,
oh sure.
wouldn't personally speak to us
Yeah.
because we don't live in those kinds of situations.
Yeah.
That still, movie wise, speak to us,
Yeah.
make us maybe understand the situation better, make us get some sort of compassion
Yeah.
for people in those situations.
But
I mean, there are
this
a bunch of, I don't remember the name of them, but I know one of the Will Smith movies when he's alone, he lives alone with a kid.
Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah, isn't
Yeah.
that sort of one of those movies?
So sort of, but it's
It's not
it's a
as
very personal story about that person though.
true, but it is a person in. It's yeah, okay, never. I'm gonna dig myself a hole here.
Yeah, exactly. That's
But you know, there are movies about these kinds of issues that normally shouldn't speak to us because we have white privilege, obviously. We do. We can't deny
yeah,
that. Even
sure.
though, I mean, we're Swedish, we don't have the same kind of issues socially as Americans in
I'll just
general.
like I said on Twitter the other day, I'll just move out of the slum and into a castle then. I'll quit.
I mean, yeah,
I'll quit my job at the call center and just live off my white privilege. Thank you.
yeah, okay, we're not that privileged.
We're
We're
not very privileged. I'm just saying, but yeah,
we had an okay upbringing. We didn't
oh
have
sure,
much
yeah, that was
problems.
fine. I was just saying now, as an adult.
Yeah, that's because we're lazy, though.
Oh come on.
We
Anyway,
probably couldn't, whatever. Um, but
I had a good job until they shut us down.
yeah, that's
At
true.
home to you, yeah. Anyway.
I guess though we can't really speak for some of the things that happen in American culture
No,
because
no,
Swedish we don't have the same social issues.
no, and I get that, but there's also like you
But
said,
this is art. This is movie. Of course, art always reflects reality, but it's a movie. it should cater to, not cater, it should make itself accessible
To
so that
more
everyone
people, yeah.
understands it.
Don't you want? Yeah,
Not
because
just
don't.
the people in that situation, that
Yeah.
specific situation.
Don't you
Make
want?
us understand.
You want as many people as possible to like it, right?
Yeah.
At least
And to get the
at least a
point.
movie like this. Unless you're making like weirdo artsy stuff, then you should. Then it doesn't really matter, because then, honestly, the less people that get your stuff, the more exciting it is. But when you're making a movie like this, don't you want more people to like it?
See it, to
Or see it? Yeah.
get the message.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It had potential.
It had potential. Yeah, the premise
Kind
is,
of got squandered.
the premise is great. But yeah, it was poorly executed. Bad script.
I did like the attention to detail of all the things they mentioned about vampires, to be honest, because they mentioned a lot of things that many modern movies just disregard and don't even like.
Yeah, I gotta say, it was actually
use.
one thing that I didn't even know about vampires, and that is that you can use the Eucharist, the little wafer, as a repellent. I actually didn't know that.
No, me neither, to be honest. That was the one thing I didn't know. But the thing about like boiling holy water and, well, the holy water starting to boil near a vampire.
That's okay.
One.
That's just last nitpick. He says that holy water boils when it's close to a vampire. They hold a plastic Sprite bottle with boiling water in it and a water balloon for several minutes with boiling water in it.
It looks like boiling. I'm not sure it actually becomes warm.
But then when they get,
that's a chemical reaction more than a heat reaction.
But he literally says boiling.
He's a kid.
I know. But then it actually when they get closer to the vampire, the steam from the water vaporizing pops the balloon.
Yeah, okay, that's a weird detail.
Just there's so many of those little details that took me out of the movie.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, it's not nitpicks anymore when it's all over the movie. Then it's just badly done.
Yeah. But I still liked that they had so much of the classic vampire lore being part of it. They mention a lot of it.
Sure.
I mean, they even mentioned the familiars, which isn't really common knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that.
Sure. Yeah, no, overall...
Those were nice details, but they could have added the same kind of attention to detail to other things as well, not just the vampire bit.
Yeah. And it could have been... They could have done... But then again, that's probably a budgetary thing, but the gentrification should have been... More vampires should have appeared, or they should have turned more people. But I guess Vivian, the leader, she didn't really want more vampires. She just
wanted to find a place for the vampires she already had, which they did mention briefly that there was gonna be a bunch of vampires eventually.
Yeah, but
they
I
were
don't
only
think she wanted that, right?
No, I don't think she had a problem with that. I don't think she wanted to make more. I just think she wanted to move in more.
Yeah.
They wanted to find a safe place for them to live in peace, basically.
Okay.
So this little squadron of like 5 vampires, they were just there to secure a space, and then when everything's done and settled, that's when the rest of them were going to show up.
Yeah. But it's kind of contradictory then that they're buying up all the property in the Bronx. That made a little bit of sense, because then they wouldn't have to be invited in to eat people. But she also says that it's nice for vampires to live in areas like this where people don't even notice when you disappear.
Yeah, because they still want to have people to feed off.
Yeah, so why gentrify it? Because gentrification brings in more people, new people.
Yeah, don't buy the shops and stuff, because you don't need the shops.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy apartment buildings and let people stay there.
So once again, it is kind of contradictory.
Yeah.
And
they went too on the nose with the gentrification.
Yes, the gentrification part.
The potential of what the vampires actually needed.
Like, it's a cool idea to have, like I said in the beginning, the people buying up property are literally bloodsuckers. Yeah. It's a cool idea, but it didn't it didn't really work with what their ultimate goal was. At least not the vampire queen or whatever she was.
But I guess Lil Mayer wouldn't have seen it as a problem either if they only bought up apartment buildings and still let people live there. There had to be some sort of catalyst of pushing people out,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah, but then make it just about vampires, because if there were
Yeah.
vampires popping up everywhere, that would have been a problem.
Yes.
That's where the gentrification theme doesn't really work, unfortunately.
No.
Imagine if all the new stores opening up, the butter store that he walks past, or the new ice cream truck rolls up. Imagine if all of those were driven by like familiars or other vampires, and they
Yeah,
realize like halfway through the movie, the three of them are walking through the streets and they realize everyone here is a vampire.
yeah, they're not just white, they're vampires.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
That would have made more sense.
Fine,
They never actually opened up the stores. They never brought in any more
yeah,
vampires.
if you're gonna be blunt about it, just make the entire neighborhood become white, become vampires. It's like, hello, little
They
boy.
kind of mention it when they look at the
The
commercial
Yeah.
thing for the new apartment building in the townhouse.
Yeah, but they never
See, white
go anywhere
people
with
with
it.
tote bags or what they
Yeah,
call it.
yeah, and they say whenever you see canvas bags, you know it's a sign of doom or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
Play on that.
then
Actually,
do that, play on that,
actually-
make it funny. Yeah, make all the white people literally be pasty white and be vampires. Like,
had one white person walking around the neighborhood, and that was Vivian.
yeah.
Do more of her, basically, like more versions of her.
Yeah.
walking around.
And why would the vampires, since at least that's also like we have two of the vampires who never even say a word. They're never even barely seen. They're just there to be killed. And then you have the one guy who walks around. Why is he dressed like a vampire? To dress as a normal
He likes
person.
it.
Yeah, but come
He's
on.
probably centuries old, and he's stuck into the ways they were when. No, that doesn't make sense.
No,
anymore.
because Vivian is older. She's
Yeah.
wearing regular clothes. I mean, it looked cool when he walked around looking like a vampire, but it didn't fit in at all.
No.
Anyway.
It doesn't make sense because that's another thing about vampires, though. They do adapt
Yeah.
to the times because they know otherwise they'll stand out, they'll get caught.
Yeah. Which they did pretty fast here.
It's what Vivian is trying to not do because she's
She's trying to fit in. Yeah.
trying to fit in. But this dude, I have no idea
No.
who he was.
No.
He was just not.
No. So
I have a feeling he's Vladimir Kamano.
maybe I don't know. Did they mention his name?
I don't know. No, wait, that's. No, I read the actor's name. Sorry.
Oh,
There's
right.
Vladimir as an actor.
Yeah, Vladimir Kamala.
I
Plays
think
Papo.
they mentioned his name like one time, but
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, so
It's a swing and a miss. They had it, but they just
yeah, well,
just
I gotta ask just a little bit. What did you like about it?
I don't know. It's just emotion when I watched it was
Okay.
entertaining.
Okay. All right.
And when you're watching it, because I didn't really go in with any expectations of it being like
No.
horror or.
Okay.
I guess I was expecting a bit more comedy, maybe. But
Yeah.
I had no.
When it's
No
called
expectation.
Vampires versus the Bronx, I mean there should have been more like thugs killing vampires and like I don't know.
Yeah, they could
like,
have used
they should've-
that standoff they did
Yeah.
between the gang and the vampires.
Penny and the vampires. Yeah.
Which, first of all, is weird because the same dude is hiring both of them basically.
Yeah.
They
but
should know about each other somehow, not to kill each other at least.
I
Like
don't- I
tell
don't
the vampires to stay out of their way. Just
Yeah.
because
well, it's another
they
nitpick.
could have played that thing more. They could have had that scene be a little bit longer because it was what 1.5
like-
minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Everything is very short in this movie because the movie is less than like 80 minutes if you don't count the credits.
They-
Like have the gang members become vampires and have a literal vampire gang or something.
Instead of just hiring them, turn them.
Yeah, or at least make them into familiars.
Yeah.
But they didn't have fun with the vampire aspect of the story. Because it was just a metaphor for gentrification, so it got kind of It went kind of underused. But that's it. I'm very very disappointed. I'm not saying it's a terrible movie, but it wasn't good.
Could have been way more.
It could have been much better. So yeah. Do you have anything else to say about it?
Oh, not really.
No, me neither. I was disappointed.
It was anticlimactic and
Yeah.
could have used a bit more passion, basically.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's kind of lacking in that department.
Yeah.
I guess, which is a shame because could have been good.
Could have been good.
Really...
It could have been another Attack the Block.
Yeah.
Once again, if the one person who's watching us right now, if you haven't seen Attack the Block, look that one up. It's an amazing movie.
It's which also fun, so it works with the Halloween theme.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's not specifically about gentrification, but it's definitely about a movie that talks about how hard life can be for youth in places like the Bronx, or like in this, it's called Something Upon Something because it's a suburb to London. It's basically a bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
And and the movie is a perfect that theme fits perfectly with that movie, and then they have an spoilers alien invasion in that movie as well, but it works.
In that movie, they actually, apart from doing the proper, like, okay, the bad neighborhoods being the hoods basically.
Yeah.
But you still have they kind of they have a white woman who the boys think is like, oh yeah, you're just a rich girl who's like me, but then they find out she's not. So they kind of break out from the stereotypes.
Exactly, they break stereotypes.
While still having the stereotypes.
Yeah, especially with now this is going to become a spoiler cast for Attack the Block just shortly. Like when we see all of them like running around. John Boyega, this was his first big role, I think. A few years before Star Wars, he looks to be like pretty old in that movie. Looks like he's 20 or something. But then when she runs into his apartment to go get something, I don't remember what it is, towards the end, she runs into his room and realizes he's just a little boy.
He's just a kid.
He's a kid. He's literally a kid with dinosaur covers on his bed and toys. And she's that just it's a small little thing that they comment on, that you kind of you have to grow up. You can't stay a kid in bad neighborhoods like that. And that's why he's involved with, once again, the gang leader who wants him to sell drugs and yeah. And there's similar things with the other his gang members,
his friends.
But then you also have, they have fun and weird characters like Nick Frost who sells weed to them, or the weirdo guy who buys weed who tries to fit in, even though he's a pasty white guy, but they kind of like him anyway, but they make fun of him.
Yes,
it's funny, and the fact that they kill an alien and just run around with it in the street, but nobody cares because it's that kind of neighborhood, and they try to use the dead alien to hook up with chicks. It's funny.
Oh my god, I need to see that movie again.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
So long.
And
yeah. Actually, instead of watching Vampires vs. the Bronx,
check out Attack the Block.
Yeah.
Maybe it's unfair to but it's not really either. That wasn't a big budget movie. It was a small budget movie.
And it's just English, not American.
Yeah, so it's probably a lower budget than this.
Probably.
And it was done 10 years ago, but it looks so much better than this.
Oh my god, yes. The aliens are fantastic.
And they are completely, they're not CGI, except for the mouth.
Yeah.
No, the teeth. The mouth is real, but the teeth and the glowing is fake.
Yeah.
But they're all real.
It's made. Oh, it's so awesome. Yeah, watch it.
That's what this movie could have been, but they didn't. They didn't give it their all.
Yeah, Either way, we said we were gonna end this about 10 minutes ago.
So let's end it.
What we're watching next week? Have we decided?
We were talking about #alive.
Yeah.
because it's another Netflix movie. But honestly, maybe we should stay away from Netflix movies because the two we watched weren't good at all. Or well, at least
True.
Hubie Halloween wasn't good at all. And this was kind of eh.
We have another suggestion, or should we just make it a surprise for next week? Maybe
we'll figure something out. Let's make it a surprise for next week.
Make it a surprise.
But it's gonna be a horror movie.
Of course, we're
Yeah.
staying on the Halloween theme.
So at least, at least we'll do that. But yeah. So that's it for this week. Thank you for. We had a bunch of people looking for a while, but I guess when we started bad mouthing the movie, they didn't want to hang out with us. But there's still someone watching. Someone's lurking. Thank you for lurking, even though you didn't comment or anything. And yeah, check out the channel. Be sure to subscribe to get loads more content. A bunch of episodes of Spoilercast, movie reviews, even a music video essay. Other podcasts and live streams, the Adam Sandler podcast, which just wrapped its first season. There's literally hundreds of hours of entertainment on this channel. So hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell thing, and we'll be back in exactly 1 week to talk about another horror movie. But until then, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.